This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
Things in the off season, because it's really just every day is an opportunity to build on something. There's definitely things that we know the terminology, we know the verbiage, we know what our assignments are supposed to be. But I think, right now what we're really working towards is consistency and performance, and it's not the physical part of it yet, but, trying to go out there and, if that's your assignment, can you do it right, once and then twice and then 15 times and then for an entire practice? That's really where we're at. So, had some good plays and some not so good plays, and that's normal for this time of the year, but still in a big learning phase for us. Every opportunity we have to go out there on the field, we have a chance to get better. And, working hard. I think that they understand the way we want to work. They understand what we're trying to get done. And, every day just, get a little better.
Are you feeling where you're closing into that point where, okay, time to hit the pause button right here and be ready to be where you need to be in training camp?
Definitely not yet. We're not going to pause anything yet. You only have, only so many limited opportunities in the off season, so this is our 6th practice, if you will. And, we have a few more this week and some next week. So, we'll just, we're going to use the ones we have and try to do the best with those opportunities. And then, regardless of if we're where we want to be or not, we'll hit the pause button eventually here and, take a deep breath. And then we're going to have a lot of work ahead of us in training camp.
Josh, when you're assimilating so much new information, is it difficult waiting for them to get to the place where they're playing and not thinking?
No, because I think you go into it knowing that that's going to be a process. I think if coaches are impatient, in that regard, it's probably, it's not a good thing at this point in time of the year. We don't play a game for a number of months, so we have a long time to continue to invest in the players and in their skills, in their fundamentals, in the techniques that we're trying to teach. They know they have time to continue to work on those things. So patience is really important at this time of the year. Like I said, we're not lining up and playing a game for a while. So we just got to, continue to put one foot in front of the other and have a good day tomorrow. And we're going to learn a lot from the tape that we had today. A lot of time this afternoon and then tomorrow morning to be able to watch and digest the tape. So, there's going to be mistakes in every practice right now, and we understand that. And I think that's our job is to try to make them better.
You're not going to talk contracts. I get that, but you're not going to talk contracts. But Darren has said he wants to be here, wants to be a leader around his teammates. Can you talk about his progress and if you see those things from him? Yeah,
definitely. Darren's, he's done everything we've asked him to do and more. He's obviously a good player. We love having him here. It's really a pleasure to coach the guy. Comes with a great attitude and mindset every day. Works really hard here early. Stays late, does extra, takes care of his body, does a lot of the things that you would want any player to do, and obviously he's been productive with his opportunities. So love having him here and looking forward to coaching him.
Josh, we're seeing Devon Diablo running around with the red jersey throughout OTAs. Mm-hmm. There's something I was asking about Devon Diablo. Is there something that's limiting him right now?
Yep. No, I understand. I mean, we're just trying to be smart. There's some guys that are obviously dealing with little things here and there, and we just try to make sure we're smart with those guys, especially if there's something that they can get some value in being out there, but we also don't want anybody to accidentally do something that they shouldn't do. And I think we're doing a really good job of staying off the ground, and there's not a bunch of there's no piles, no we're doing all that stuff right. It's just if they're in a red jersey, whether it's a quarterback or someone else, it just alerts the rest of the players that, look, he can work, he can get a lot of reps here, he can get value in what he's doing, but, it's not a physical part of the thing for him. And it will be the same thing when we have pads on. If we have pads on, they got those kind of jerseys on, it'll be the same thing. Everybody treat him with respect and make sure that the health of the players comes first.
Josh, when you started OTAs and looked at the offense as a whole from last season, broke down film, did you prioritize the units within the offense and what may need the most work down to the sort of in a a reverse pyramid, say, okay, well, we gotta look at this unit, we gotta do a lot of work here, we gotta do this. Is there a priority within each unit on the offense?
I mean, I think there's an overall priority is to try to, understand, the foundation of our system and the techniques that we would ask each of them to use, I think, at that point in time, without having had a practice, it's hard to sit there and say, well, this is what we need to do with the slot receivers, and this is what we need to do with the halfbacks, and this is what we need to do with the tight ends and the guards, and so on and so forth. We'll know a lot more after, the spring is over, and we'll have a chance to digest that information. And then we'll reprioritize certain things when we head to training camp. But there's also the physical aspect of it that none of us have seen either. We've seen tape, we've watched tape, we're aware of certain things, but, players change and they develop and they improve, and so there's a lot that, that we don't know yet, so we're learning as much as we can now, and when we get to training camp, there'll be a physical part of it that we're going to learn. We're trying to put them in some situations where we can test their competitive stamina and their mental toughness, their ability to stay with it and think on their feet, as the periods were changing pretty quickly today, trying to, get them to grasp certain things. So, there's definitely a reprioritization here after we're done with the spring in terms of going into training camp. But right now it's just, everybody's getting reps with everybody, and we're trying to, evaluate the players as best we can.
With Derek a few months now, I'm sure you watched him on film a lot before that. What's the most underrated part of this game, would you say? Things that's obvious to most people, I guess.
Boy, Derek's been I don't know how everybody else rates him, So, he's been a good player for a long time. I've said that since I got here, and that's the truth. He's smart. He works really hard at it. He understands the game of football. He's got good arm strength and accuracy. He's a good leader. He's tough. Doesn't miss a lot of games. Been durable. So there's a lot that Derek Carr does every day to give you a lot of confidence in what he can do with your team. So I don't know how everybody else rates him. I just know that I feel pretty good about the things that I'm seeing. He's having a good spring. He's working really hard. He's acclimating to some of the new guys. He treats everybody the same, which I love. That's a good sign of a leader. He's not just going to talk to the guys that are, in the first huddle. He talks to everybody, at every position, offense, defense, kickers, punters, So, been very impressed with him.
Anything surprised you at all, or anything that you weren't ready?
I wouldn't say, like I said, I've been a big fan for a while, so I wouldn't say there's been anything that has stood out that I've been surprised about.
Coach, you have outside of during you brought in this offseason, you have a really young DB room. Kind of what are some of the blessings, but also some of the challenges of really dealing with such a young cornerback and safety room this far?
Yeah, players that are young, usually have their best football in front of them. There's no doubt about that. They develop. They have an opportunity to grow. They're eager. They're all eager. They're all competing to try to earn opportunities, and I think that's a really good thing. We have some, different skill sets. We have some guys with maybe a little bit more speed, a little bit more size, so it gives us some flexibility. But, I think that all of them are really eager to try to learn, and they're learning how to communicate and talk with each other, which is important. We did some third down stuff today, which is always a difficult down for defensive backs to deal with. We had, some packages where there was 6 and 7 of them on the field at the same time. Overall communication, understanding how to play the techniques that we're trying to teach and coach. But love the group, love the way they work, and eager to watch them continue to develop and grow, and then go into training camp and let them just, battle it out and compete. And, however it turns out, they'll be the ones that determine that.
Josh, you had a huge percentage of participation in OTAs. Does that help when you get to a mini camp because they've been there for so long? Maybe the ball's farther down the field?
Definitely. I can't say enough about our players and what they've done. They've really, like I said last week, they're really responsible for the culture. We try to set a standard of what we're looking for, but, they're the ones that go out there and do it, and they're here every day. They're here real early. They're working their butt off and doing everything they can to help themselves improve and help the team, improve along the way. So, it's basically been almost everybody except for a couple guys here and then that were dealing with some, family situations, and we got a lot of babies this spring. So, but no, it's been great. It's been a pleasure to coach them all and work with the guys that have been here, which has been the majority of them, and obviously for the minicamp, it's all of them.
Josh, I know it's still early in the process of the offensive line together, and there's still some guys coming back from injury, but Lester Cotton has gotten a lot of time at that right guard spot. Has he opened some eyes here? And he's been here a little while, but working his way into the picture.
Yeah, I mean, we have different drills and periods where they're all going to work with different people, but Les is definitely, he shows up every day. He works really hard. He's having a great off season. And there's a lot of guys in that room that are doing the same thing. But eager to see what Lester and that whole group's going to do and get to training camp. This time of the year for the linemen on both sides of the ball is a little bit. You can only see about half of what you need to see. So, but they all speak, they all talk, they're communicating well, they're anticipating things, they're learning different positions. The more you can do to help the team at multiple spots, the better off it's going to be. So Lester's done a good job, and I think that whole entire room and Carmen and Cam have done a great job of working with him and bringing him along, and he's invested a lot in this offseason.
Let's do a couple more, Adam, and then Paul.
What is the status of Josh Jacobs right now?
Say it again.
What is the status of Josh Jacobs? Is he here just not practicing?
Yeah, he's here. He's just working. He was working inside today.
Josh, obviously OTAs are voluntary. Minicamp is mandatory. What was the attendance like for you with this, and how happy are you with what the attendance is?
You're talking about today?
Today, yeah.
Oh, everybody's here.
Everybody's here.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're all here, and, it's a mandatory session, so that's what we would anticipate. But, no, everybody's here and excited. At least it sounded like it this morning when we were in the squad meeting, and eager to work and, get an opportunity. The day's a little different, we get a little time in the afternoon now. We didn't get any time in the afternoon, the OTAs, to watch any tape and all that. So get a chance here in a little bit to go in and watch some of what we just did on the field and try to make some progress. But no, everybody's here, and, they've been accountable all spring. I couldn't say enough good things about our group.
Last question, Vic. Yeah, it seemed like bringing in Jacob Johnson was a priority. What does he bring to the mix?
Jakob? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's all right. He's a grinder, man. He's a self-made football player, man, and he comes to work every day, takes great care of his body. He's a tough guy. He's really a tough player, good teammate, unselfish, willing to do anything you ask him to do. He'll block, he'll line up outside of the backfield, he'll play in the punt team. He does a lot of stuff, for your football team, and he adds a lot of value and toughness to it. So, Yak knows what his role is. He embraces it every day, and he's an unselfish teammate, and I just really enjoy being around him. A lot of what Yak does rubs off on a lot of people, and I think there's a lot of value in that.
All right, thank you, Coach. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Have a good break.
Thanks, Josh.
Check out the Vegas Nation podcast 3 times a week, starting off with First and 10 with Vinny Bonsignor and Sam Gordon, then Takeaways with Heidi Fang, and rounding out the week, you have Unsportsmanlike Conduct with Ed Graney and Adam Hill.
There's still a lot of question marks on the defensive side, and the offensive line is still a question mark.
The offensive line is the most important thing that they have to fix, because if they don't fix that, a lot of Devontae Adams can be taken away because Carr is not going to be protected as well as he needs to be.
Catch it all on VegasNation.com, powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal. What's up, everybody? It's Heidi Fang here, and I'm joined with Adam Hill, our NFL writer, and we're going to get into the 2022 futures for the Las Vegas Raiders. Adam, first, let's get into the futures on the AFC West. Who can win it outright? The Raiders are in long shots at this from what I've seen. Let's get into some of the numbers and talk about what that means for the Raiders as long shots in the AFC West.
Obviously, this is the most glamorous division in the NFL now. Everybody is talking about the AFC West. And I think it's wide open. So I think that's why the Raiders do offer some value in this AFC West. You've got the Chiefs and the Chargers obviously at very short numbers to win because they're, all the hype. They're so hyped going into this season. The Chiefs also up there in the top 5. So there's all these elite teams in the division. The Raiders are clearly a top half of the league team at this point of the offseason in terms of most people's rankings, and yet they're 4th choice to win the division. They're also the biggest long shot in the division to win the AFC. So I think there is some value there because I think this division is going to come down to, a couple of injuries, a couple of maybe fluke calls or crazy plays at the end of games. And 1 or 2 wins like that is going to change the entire complexion of the division. I think the Raiders do offer a little bit more value. Maybe the Broncos do as well. But I actually think the Broncos might have a little bit tougher time adjusting with all their new faces, not only a new coaching staff like the Raiders have, but also a new quarterback. And even though he's very, very good and he's got good weapons, it might take some time to adjust. So I think there is a little bit of value potentially on the Raiders in this spot with the numbers that they have right now.
Another number I want to talk about is 8.5. That's where I'm seeing a lot of books set the Raiders win total at right now. Adam, how reasonable do you think it is that the Raiders win over 8.5 games, or are you leaning the other way with the under?
So if we're going to think there's value in them to win the division, we probably have to think there's some value in the over as well. But here's the thing. If you look at game by game, they're only favored in 6 games this season. And so I know some people might say, well, how are they only favored in 6 games out of 17, but the number's 8.5? Well, it just comes down to the percentages of how likely it is to win each game. And so many of their games, even if they're underdogs, they're only a 1 or a 2 point underdog in the game. So those are close to 50-50 propositions. That bumps that number up to 8.5. I will say this. One thing I've seen people say is, well, they won 10 games and made the playoffs last year, and they got better in the offseason. How are they only 8.5? Well, I think you have to take a step back and say, now they have a second place schedule. The schedule on paper is just brutal. So, I think that's where it comes into play a little bit, where they can be significantly better on the field and have a worse record. And I know that's hard for some people to kind of comprehend and understand, but you can take a step forward as a team and take a step back in the standings. And that's kind of how the NFL works with their, scheduling based on a couple different factors that include where you finish in the division. So that second place schedule for the Raiders could make things a little bit more difficult for them this year in terms of trying to win those 8.5 games.
That'll do it for our betting segment with Adam Hill. I'm Heidi Fang. Make sure to keep up with Dave Shane and Todd Dewey, our sports betting columnists who put out things regularly on any betting information you might be looking for in the Las Vegas area and beyond. And make sure to check out all that we're doing on vegasnation.com when you need to keep up with all things Raiders. For Adam Hill, I'm Heidi Fang. Thank you for watching. Welcome, everybody, to the Takeaways edition of the Vegas Nation podcast. It's your host here, Heidi Fang, and I'm joined with a good friend of mine who also works at SiriusXM Radio and hosts all the MMA shows there. But here today, we're talking about Raiders, which also you have a podcast, RJ Clifford. It's called Autumn Windbags, which he's the host of. Catch that anywhere you find your podcast. RJ, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Of course, Heidi. Good to see you.
When I spoke with you last, we were on the Autumn Windbags. We were talking a little bit about Jonathan Abram and some of the other guys that came in the beginning of the John Gruden and Mike Mayock regime. So when you now hear they're not picking up that 5th year option, I don't think it came as any surprise to anybody that's followed this team. But if you think that perhaps there's a chance that they might look at keeping one of them, who would it be?
It's a tough one. I mean, between Clay Farrell, Josh Jacobs, and Jonathan Abram of that 2019 class, Jacobs is obviously the best one, but he's going to need like $8 million or something based on the fact that he was a Pro Bowler and with that 5th year, so I don't think my co-host said it best. He's like, I wouldn't pay $8 million for all 3 of those players, let alone just one of them. And so they all got these big contracts for 5th year. And so, I mean, I don't dislike any one of them. I think Jonathan Abrams is the biggest question mark because he's improving quickly. Obviously, he was I think 1st or 2nd in tackles before he got hurt this season.
I think he was 2nd, yeah, because I think Perry.
Yeah, at least 2nd, right?
Yeah.
So he was a tackle machine. And he's still a liability in coverage, but he has improved there. Whereas, 2 seasons ago, he just let guys just whiz right past him while he's lost. At least this time he's in position. He's still kind of a liability. He doesn't, follow the ball that well. He still lets a lot of guys but he's improving. And what I look for mostly is not what you've done, it's what you can do. If you're going like this, if you're steadily improving, I like you here. So I think Abram likes it here as well. Definitely not picking up the 5th year option, but if his pass coverage skills continue to increase, hopefully we'll make some kind of deal for him because he's such a great tackler. You hate to lose him.
Now, I want to have a little fun here if you're up for it. I was thinking we could play MMA matchmaker with the Raiders.
Okay.
I want to bring the two worlds together because that's kind of where we met anyway. So
Beautiful.
I was thinking,
You're playing God, Heidi.
Let's take Max Crosby, for instance, right?
Okay.
If we were going to, I don't know, should we match him against an MMA fighter or should we match him? I'm just kind of off the cuff with this. I was thinking it could be fun. If he was in an MMA fight with a teammate or an opponent or an actual UFC fighter.
Well, he could. I would like to see him fight John Jones because then Chandler Jones, John Jones's brother, and Max Crosby's teammate would have to pick sides. He's like, who am I going to corner? My brother from my mom or my brother in the silver and black? I just want anarchy, Heidi.
All right, RJ Clifford again. You can catch him on Sirius XM Radio with the Fight Club. Is also a host of the Autumn Windbags with Juan Soto. Thank you so much, RJ, for taking the time. Check out the Vegas Nation podcast 3 times a week, starting off with First and 10 with Vinny Bonsignor and Sam Gordon, then Takeaways with Heidi Fang, and rounding out the week, you have Unsportsmanlike Conduct with Ed Graney and Adam Hill.
There's still a lot of question marks on the defensive side, and the offensive line is still a question mark.
The offensive line is the most important thing that they have to fix, because if they don't fix that, a lot of Devontae Adams can be taken away because Carr is not going to be protected as well as he needs to be.
Catch it all on VegasNation.com, powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Only things new right now, man, the system, coaches, we got new faces in the building, new everything. Right now, we just, trying to put it all together, just working together, getting acclimated with the new defense, new coaching system, new everything. I mean, we've only been here for probably about a month right now, so, everybody's, like I said, just getting acclimated right now. But, these young guys, they're not young anymore, man. It's a different breed of generations coming up. I know when I was coming up, man, I needed a bunch of help with the playbook, but, man, the game's is different in general, man. Just the speed, the knowledge, everything. But the young guys, like I said, man, we all just getting together right now.
Man, 4 years gone by like that. It goes by quick.
Now, in a football sense, you guys talking football, going through football, are you starting to see why people talk about him like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And their system is, our system is different than anything I've been in before. But you see, once you're in it, you're like, wow, I see why it was so successful. Just like anything else, once you get in, in Gru's offense, I was like, wow, I see why he was successful with this. And obviously Josh has a great track record of success and scoring points and all that kind of fun stuff. And it's exciting to be coached by him. He's very demanding. But he's also really fun to be around. Our meetings are great. He's from day one, since the first phone call, told me he's been very honest, he's been very open, and I appreciate that as a player.
This isn't your first rodeo in terms of learning a new offense. Are there some things that you've learned over the years to be able to streamline the process, to be able to get it and get a command of it a little bit quicker?
Yeah, absolutely. And just being a fan of football, I mean, you watch their games and I was always a fan of his and Coach Belichick, and I always was very intrigued by the things that they would do schematically. And so it's funny, we watched the cut-ups and I'm like, hey, I remember this play. It was against this year, against this coordinator, and he laughed, and things like that, because I've always been a fan. And so just being in it, and learning it, the details of it, and having the OTAs to grind through that, has been huge. But, drawing on past experiences, it helps me. It's not like I'm starting off as a rookie. We can hit the ground running. He can say things, and I'm like, yep, got it, and we can move on faster to get to other things. And so hopefully that'll help us, get everything in a speedy process. But I'm still learning just like everybody else.
Derek, I just asked Josh about the high percentage of participation in OTAs, allowing for this mandatory camp to get the ball farther down the road because of the guys. As a captain, what did you do to make sure everybody was all in with OTAs?
I think it starts with Dave and Josh just keeping the right people here, and signing the new guys, signing the right new guys. The expectation is always that we're going to be here and we're going to work. And the guys that they signed, the guys that we re-signed that are here, there's literally no other answer. It's no other thing that we would be doing besides this right now. If you want to play golf, we'll just do it after practice. Those kind of things. And so, we've spent many times doing some fun things together and dinners and all that kind of players and things like that. But it's always after the work gets done. And so, as captains, our job is really easy because, you tell the guys, hey, this one we're going to be here, and everyone shows up, because they're really good, professionals, and that's what they want to do.
Derek, I know you guys, worked together in the offseason a lot before the pandemic, but what's it been like being out there with Devontae and wearing the same uniform as him again?
Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of surreal, It's been really fun for us. A lot of inside jokes from college and things like that, just came back just like this, just being on the practice field. And we're learning each other again as well, different. We're both in a new system that, it's not really a system that we've been in before, so we're both learning and growing through that, like, oh, hey, I'm going to do it like this next time, or hey. And so we've had some fun plays, and we've had some where I'm like, hey, if you do that, and we kind of talk through it, and the relationship part is the easiest part, because what we're both saying to each other, we both understand each other, and we're getting better. And that part's exciting. But again, him and I, we have a long way to go, just like everybody else. We're learning, we're trying to get better, and hopefully put a good product out there, when it's time to take the field. But it's just been fun to have my friend back.
Derek, you talked about green bananas, young players. Look at your offense. It's some veteran players out there now. Do you feel that? Do you sense that it's kind of an older kind of group and more mature group?
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that Josh coaches us, the level at which he's talking and the things that he's demanding and asking of us, it's good. Because usually when you have a lot of young guys, the train has to slow down. And where Josh said we're going full steam ahead, and he trusts that with a veteran group of guys that have a lot of football behind them, they can pick it up and run with it. And so you definitely feel that. You can definitely sense that in the way that they coach and what they've thrown at us and what they expect from us. I mean, from day one. And so I think Josh would probably speak on it better. But for me, I feel like that has been a big advantage for us. But from a learning aspect, now from an execution standpoint, just keep working and get better at it.
I asked Josh if he prioritized the units within the offense in terms of where he'd like to do the most work. So much he says it's going to take some time for you to make this offense work this year under a new system. How important is it for you? Like you said, you're learning, coming out of the quarterback room and getting with your offensive line and make sure you're in tune with them specifically. How's that work in the first month here?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's new terminology. There's new words that mean new things. You basically you don't erase everything you've learned, but from a word standpoint, we're using different words to get certain things done, right? There's different philosophies, there's different things like that, and you're trying to take it and execute what Josh wants at the highest level. That's how I've always been. I told you guys, even with the other coaches have been here, I try and take what they're teaching me and do it at the highest level to they're like, when they're watching the game, that's exactly what they want. So there's a lot of work going into it, with me, with Andre, and the communication, and with the running backs. I mean, it takes all 11 with how we run things. It takes everybody to be on the same page. So it's not just one group. I mean, it's all of us making sure that we're all on the same page so that we can execute at the high level.
Derek, how much can Devontae kind of open things up with Hunter this year? Because obviously Darren played that role last year, but now you add Devontae on the outside. How much does that open things up for Hunter as well?
Well, we hope a lot. It doesn't matter now. I can sit up here and say it'll be great, and we go out there and it doesn't work. We have to. There's a lot of hard work that needs to be done in order for that. What you're trying to get at, for that to be a successful thing. And that's our plan, and that's what we hope. But there's still so much work to be done. Hopefully, we get everybody rolling to where it's hard to do everything, where we can run it, we can throw it. He helps him and he helps me and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of work that needs to be done before we get into that, but you would think and you would hope that it would help those guys.
Oh, sorry. There are a couple of periods today where you look to your right, there's Max Crosby, and then you look to your left, there's Chandler.
Yeah.
Rushing off the edge. Putting yourself in other quarterbacks' shoes when they see that, what does that even feel like?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've played against Max every day for however many years now, and then I've played against Chandler in the past, and watching him on film is everyone sees with his production. And I think the cool thing to me is they're both very hard workers. I've been around some good pass rushers. Khalil and Lamar Woodley was the same kind of mindset. Tuck was the same way. Yannick was the same way. Just hard workers, and they're great guys to be around. And I think that's one thing that sticks out with Chandler is he's really fun to be around. But at the same time, when the helmet comes on, he gets between the lines. He works extremely hard. He picked me off on the screen today. I said, Chandler, I've never seen you stop your rush like that. You always try and hit me in the chest. And he just started laughing. But it's been fun just to to be around him, and watch him work and really watch him teach. The young guys, when Chandler walks in the room, all the eyes go to him because what's he going to say? How's he going to teach that move and things like that? So it's been cool, and I think it's been cool for Max, and I think Max has been good for Chandler. I think it's vice versa. Max is a maniac when it comes to his effort and things like that, and watching Chandler, try and chase after Max and things like, that during plays has been cool to watch them push each other.
Probably the first time in a while where it's just football for you. There's no like off-field stuff. There's no contract talk, no rumors. What's that been like? Just having just the football thing be the focus, I guess.
Yeah, Vic, it's been freeing. More so because I just don't have to answer it. That's it's like, man, I know what they're telling me in here, but then we don't tell everybody else, and we got to talk about it in here. And it's just nice for that stuff to be out of the way, and so we can just play football. I'm sure someone will want to ask something or come up with something that won't even matter, in 12 months, and it'll be fine. But for the time being in the building and, just answering football questions has been nice. And really with everything we went through last year, tragedy and, the coach leaving and things like that. And it was just so much. It's nice just to be coming to work and it's just all about football, I feel bad for still those families that have to deal with tragedy and loss and, careers changing and all that kind of stuff. We're still all human beings. Like it's hard to deal with. But when it comes to coming to work and just playing football, talking about football, it's actually been a lot of fun for me. I'm still a leader in those things, but I don't have to put my leadership hat on and, have to be, put the right message out there, all the time when it's hard and all those kind of things. So, it's been fun just to go to work and just grind, go out, make a mistake, learn from it, go out the next day, make it better. It's just been football. And so it's been fun. I'm not going to lie.
Let's do a few more.
Levi, Ed, Adam, and Paul. Derek, obviously you got a new QB coach. Can you just talk about what the vibe do you get from Bo?
Bo's awesome. He's got the most drills I've ever seen, and it's been great because they all apply to this system. And, everything that we're working, it shows up. That's big for me. I want everything that I do, just like in the past, that's how they were, everything applied to the system. Bo's the same way. Whatever we see on the practice film, he's going to show you in a drill. Look, this is the drill we did, and boom, here it's showing up. And it's been good. It's been really good for us. The relationship's great. He's really fun. I don't know if you guys have talked to him yet or not, but he's really fun to be around and talk to, and really good person. Great character. So I've just enjoyed my time with him, and we're still learning each other. And we actually installed a play that was quite similar to one I've been used to running. And I looked at Bo because I've been looking at him. Hey, what's the read on this? While Josh is coaching something else, and I looked at him on that one. I was like, Bo, I got this one. And we had a good laugh. So just the relationship is building from that aspect of him getting my personality and me understanding his, and it's been really fun. He's the same guy every day, and super smart. So I can ask him questions, and his answers are rock solid, and he's on it. So it's been good.
A question that doesn't deal with your contract, but your tight end is one who would like a new contract. You've talked about Hunter before.
Yep.
I assume, has Darren changed? Is he the same guy? Obviously, you want to keep him in the fold.
Absolutely. The way that I've talked about this, but the way that Max, myself, and Devontae did things was, hopefully to make sure it was okay for everyone else to accomplish what they need to accomplish. And so, when your leaders and the guys that are supposed to be leaders in the locker room are showing like, hey guys, we're making sacrifices to hopefully, make it good for everyone else. Now the agents, that's their deal, and Dave, that's between all them and Tom and all those guys. But we've tried to put out there like we're trying to make an effort to keep everybody. When last time when I signed my contract, I didn't think about those things, and then I just assumed it would be all right. And then Khalil's gone. That's one of my best friends. I was like, dang, I never want to see that again. And so I made sure this time that won't ever be a problem. They can talk about anything else, but that's not going to be something they talk about where it's not possible to do something. And so hopefully those things get done. But I leave that to Darren, his people, and Hunter and his people, and our guys. I'm sure they're all talking. They're all working on how do they make it happen. Because so far all the momentum has been so positive, and it's been so great to be in the building with this new staff and with our team. So hopefully all that stuff takes care of itself.
It obviously wasn't about your job. Everybody knows that. But what were your thoughts when you heard Colin was getting a tryout here and getting a look from the Raiders?
Well, I know Colin. I've known Colin, since our days, playing in the WAC conference, which is no longer a thing. My gray hairs may start to, make a point for that. But, I remember our days back then and, just watching him and what he did in college and getting to know him and talking to him on the phone and things like that. I told you guys, I've loved my time with him. I think he's a great guy. He's been great to be around. I've enjoyed being around him, talking with him, competing against him. And so, Josh told me they were doing it and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I literally said the same thing I'm telling you. I was like, I've enjoyed my time around him. I love him. Him and I would get along great. My brother knew him a little bit from San Francisco. He's like, I love Colin. He's been, he's awesome. And so I think Colin would just have to answer more questions than all of us would have to, why hasn't it happened? Why this, why that? But for me, it would have been just fine. I enjoyed my time with him.
Derek, staying on there, how welcome do you think he would be in an NFL locker room? I know you can only speak about your locker room.
Yeah.
But you've talked glowingly about him before, and NFL quarterback is a very small fraternity.
Yep.
How well do you think he would be welcomed in this locker room?
Yeah, for us? Yeah. Oh, I think great. Yeah, for us, I think he'd be great. I think, I don't want to speak for everybody in that kind of sense. I don't want someone mad at me for saying, I think it'd be great. But I know him and I would get along great. I know we have in the past, and I think we would again. And I think, for the most part, I think he'd get along just fine with our guys. And so.
Even all when he was here?
I didn't see. No, I think they did it in the afternoon, and I was already on the golf course with my two older boys.
All right, thank you, Derek.
Yep, thanks, guys. Yep.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.